The key clicked gently into the lock, a sound that typically evokes feelings of calm, but not tonight. Felt like a storm's prelude. I entered the house we had built together, the house that now felt foreign and tainted. The aroma of her perfume, a floral blend I used to find intoxicating, hung in the air, a mocking reminder of the life we had ostensibly shared. Her voice, light and lilting, floated from the kitchen. It was the same voice that had whispered sweet nothings in my ear, the same voice that had vowed forever, the same voice that I now realized had been a carefully constructed facade. My wife Sarah was standing at the counter, a picture of domesticity, stirring something in a bowl, her blonde hair pulled back into a messy bun with a few strands escaping to frame her face, wearing a simple t-shirt and yoga pants, an outfit I'd always found comfortable and familiar, when I walked into the kitchen. She smiled brightly. She responded, "Hey, how was work?" As if everything was okay. "It was work," I said, attempting to keep my voice low and even forcing a grin. I needed her to think that everything was as it had always been, so I couldn't let her see the muscles in my face objecting to the artificial movement just yet. "I'm going to take a shower and change, and then I'll go out to assist with dinner. Sounds nice." She hummed a tuneless melody as she turned back to the bow. For a brief period, I observed her movement with ease and the complete absence of remorse that appeared to flow from her. It was an epic performance. Upstairs, I undressed because the days were feeling heavy and nearly disgusting. I went into the shower, the hot water pounding on my skin as I tried to wash away the sense of betrayal that had become a constant companion in my own life. A few days prior, I had discovered a crumpled receipt from a small boutique hotel that catered to discreet rent-view, tucked deep in the pocket of her favorite coat. It wasn't just any receipt, though. It was from a small boutique hotel that catered to discreet rent-view, and the name on the receipt, scrawled in a barely readable hand, was not mine. The date was a recent one, and she informed me that she had spent the day at a yoga retreat. The sick feeling in the pit of my stomach had not gone away because the evidence was damning, but I didn't explode because I didn't cuse. I played the long game. Getting my ideas together and creating a plan. After taking a shower, I changed into my most comfortable clothes, the same sweatpants and an old t-shirt I wore on casual weekends, because this wasn't only about her adultery, it was also about the lies, the deceit, and the destruction of everything we had built. I headed back downstairs, the plan becoming more solid with every step. When I walked into the kitchen, I saw that she had set the table and even put a small vase with a single rose in the middle, a gesture I would have once found endearing. "You smell good," she said, her smile still there as I sat at the table. It was the same smile I had seen every morning for the previous 8 years, a smile I now knew was a weapon used with precision and practice. I took a long breath as I gazed at her. "Calm before the storm. Dinner smells delicious, honey, but I have to get something out of the safe before we eat." Her face didn't flicker, so she went ahead and took care of the pot on the stove without realizing the seismic shift that was about to happen. I went to the den, my heart thumping against my ribs, and the safe was concealed behind a framed photo of us from our honeymoon. I reached for the photo, my fingers tracing the edges, and a lump formed in my throat. It was a picture of a happy moment when I believed in the forever we promised with a sharp PA. I deleted the picture that showed the safe. When the door clicked open, I reached inside and took out a little velvet box. I walked back into the kitchen with the box tightly gripped in my hand after spinning the dial and entering a code to unlock something valuable that I now recognized had been a deception. Sarah showed me the image of innocence while she stirred the kettle. I cleared my throat, and she looked at me questioningly. Her voice was too casual, so I held out the box and she scowled. She then took the box from me and asked, "What is it? Did you buy me a new necklace?" When she opened the box, she found a number of items on a bed of black velvet, including the boutique hotel's receipt, which had been pressed flat and laminated, a small silver charm, a heart with an engraved initial that wasn't hers or mine, and a folded photo of her kissing a man other than me that had been taken with a cell phone. "I think this pretty much explains itself," I said in my voice, Carl, but with a hint of steel. "I just wanted to make sure you knew that I know." She finally managed a small choked sound. I don't. She stammered. Don't know how to explain it away. You know, the acting was good, really good." The color drained from her face, her eyes widened, her hand trembled, the box nearly slipped from her grasp, and she stared at its contents, her face wearing a mask of horror and disbelief. She glanced up at me, and I was fairly certain that she was still the woman I married, since my voice was calm and emotionless, a monotone that only served to highlight how serious the situation was. Tears with her eyes welling. Could I please clarify what I asked in a quiet, risky voice, how you were able to deceive me day after day, and about the inexpensive hotel? Describe that man. I pointed to the picture with a sarcastic smile on my lips. Her voice was hardly audible as she muttered. I leaned against the kitchen counter, folding my arms, and keeping my eyes fixed on hers for days as I pretended to know nothing. It wasn't enjoyable, it was like watching a former love slowly fade away as she reached for me. Oh, I think it's Sarah. I think I finally see you for who you are. Her hand was outstretched, but I moved away, separating us. Please don't touch me. She looked at me, her face a landscape of devastation, the tears streaming freely now, but I felt nothing. Her voice was trembling, and I repeated, arching an eyebrow, what are you going to do? I picked up the velvet box and closed it as a finality in the simple act. I'm going to have dinner, then I'm going to bed. You on the other hand are going to pack your things and leave. You can take the car, the clothes, the jewelry, just leave. Her eyes widened once more as if I'd said something unthinkable, but where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem. I answered in a cold voice, you made your bed. You can now lie in it somewhere else, Sarah. I turned to face the dining room table, took a seat, picked up my fork, and started eating. She stood motionless as I ate my dinner, methodically chewing each bite while ignoring her quiet sobs. After I was done, I took my dishes to the sink and cleaned them, but she was still standing where I had left her. I went upstairs, grabbed a big duffel bag from the closet, and threw it at her feet while the velvet box was still in her hands. I said, give me an hour, and then I'm changing the locks. Don't worry about the rest of your belongings, I'll make sure to send them somewhere. When the hour was up, I heard the front door close with a soft thud. I got up and went to the door, where I opened it to find her car parked halfway down the driveway with the tail lights still shining mockingly at me. I had been sitting on the sofa in the living room, picking up a book, and hearing her moving around upstairs with the sound of drawers opening and closing, the shuffle of clothes. I didn't look up or acknowledge her presence. I went back inside, pulled out a new set of locks and a small screwdriver from the small drawer next to the door, and started to remove the old one. As I tightened the new lock, I felt a shift inside of me, not happiness yet, but something like peace. I went back into the living room, picked up my book, and started reading. The house was eerily quiet, but at last it was mine, and for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. The storm had passed. I knew that all that mattered was that even if the wreckage was there, I was still standing and would rebuild, not with her, but without her.